The hall smelled like lemon cleaner and old velvet. Lights hummed. Seats creaked. A few early guests whispered about the headliner. Posters of Sophia, the glamorous concert pianist, glowed on the lobby walls. And on that same stage, a single dad in a faded blue hoodie pushed a mop. Michael. His shoulders were tired, his hands cracked. He worked nights, kept quiet, and left before applause ever started. He paused near the grand piano, just long enough to wipe a tiny fingerprint off its glossy lid. His reflection wobbled in the black surface. Thin, a bit older than he felt, eyes that had learned to swallow dreams. "Careful," said the stage manager, Robert, with a smirk. "That thing costs more than your year's salary." Michael nodded. No argument, no fight, just a breath. In the third row, John, a critic with sharp glasses, chuckled to his friend, Evelyn, a wealthy patron. "Imagine the janitor playing tonight. Viral for the wrong reason." They laughed. It stung. He kept wiping. He kept breathing. Backstage, a small sneaker tapped twice. "Dad?" whispered Emma, 8 years old, hair in a crooked ponytail. "You promised you'd be done by 7. I drew you a star." He tucked the paper into his pocket. "I'll be right there." But before he moved, his fingers hovered over the keys, just to close the fallboard, just to keep dust away. One fingertip brushed middle C. A single note rang out. Clear. Round. It floated into the empty seats like a secret. People turned. Heads lifted. The hall stilled. Did you ever feel a room hold its breath? Like even the air is listening? "Hey!" Robert snapped. "Don't touch." But something in the sound hooked the heart. One note. That's all. And suddenly, the silence wasn't empty anymore. It was alive. Curious. Waiting. What if a man who cleans your stage has a story the lights were built for? What if the next sound changes what you believe about talent, kindness, and second chances? He set the mop aside. He sat on the bench, not with arrogance, but with care. The lid whispered. The keys glimmered like small moons. And the hall leaned in. What happened next would make strangers blink back tears, pull out their phones, and whisper, "Remember this." Ready to hear how it began? Michael's day started at dawn with the sound of Emma's pencil scratching stars onto scrap paper. He packed her lunch, tied her shoelaces, and left a sticky note on the fridge. "Back by 7. Proud of you." He was always working, always doing the gentle, invisible things. Do you know someone like that? Someone whose kindness is quiet, whose hands are always moving. By afternoon, the hall shifted from sleepy to electric. Crates rolled. Cables uncoiled like black rivers. Robert barked orders. "Watch the curtains. Mind the Steinway." Sophia's posters grinned down like promises no one else could keep. Michael kept the stage shining. He loved the way sunlight broke into dust sparks, the way the piano lid reflected the ceiling, the way the room changed once music arrived. He did not announce that he had once studied. He did not tell anyone he used to stay late at the community center, letting minor chords wash his worries. He did not tell them about the night he chose diapers over lessons, rent over recitals, Emma over everything else. He didn't need applause. He needed her smile. "Move that bucket," Robert said, half looking, half texting. "And don't linger near the instrument." "Sure," Michael answered. Simple. Calm. In the front rows, John and Evelyn took their seats early, swapping witty guesses about the encore. "Sophia might open with something gentle," Evelyn mused, pearls catching light. "Then devastate with a storm." "A storm is easy," John said. "Mastery is making stillness scream." Emma peeked from the side curtain, her backpack a little too big, her eyes too bright to hide. "Is it loud when she plays?" she whispered. "It can be," Michael said, smiling. "But loud isn't the same as true." A breath. Silence. He saw a smudge on the piano and reached to clean it, nothing more heroic than the rhythm of his work. But when his finger brushed that key, middle C rang like memory. It was the note he played the night Emma was born. The note he held when he said goodbye to her mother. The note he used to test if a room was friendly or cold. Heads turned. Robert stiffened. Hands off. Michael pulled back. Sorry. Let him try, an usher whispered, half joking, to a cluster of students in row 5. What's the harm? Go on, janitor. Someone snickered. Play us a lullaby. John's pen paused. Evelyn's eyebrows lifted. Even Sophia, breezing through the aisle in a silver coat, slowed, curious, almost amused. What's this? She said. A smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Emma tugged her dad's sleeve. Do you want to? Her voice was a thread. You could show me the Star Song. He had never played for a crowd this big. He had promised himself he didn't need this. He had made peace with a quieter life. But peace isn't the same as silence. And tonight the hall's silence asked a question. He sat. The bench sighed. The keys waited like a shore waits for waves. Just 1 minute, Robert warned, waving a hand. We're on a schedule. 1 minute, Michael agreed. Then, softly, one more note. G. Slipped into the air and found the lonely sea like an old friend returning home. The harmony trembled. People stopped moving. Do you feel it? When a simple thing makes your chest ache. Like you've remembered something you never lived. He took a breath, lifted his hands, and chose the next sound. What if the man everyone overlooked is about to play the one melody they'll never forget? He began with space. Not speed. Not fireworks. Space. 2 notes held with the pedal. The soft swirl of overtones rising like steam from a winter mug. He let silence talk back. Have you ever noticed how a room answers you when you're brave enough to be quiet? The 3rd note, then a 4th. Pattern like footsteps on wet stone. In his mind, he was walking Emma across the street. Hand in hand, checking both ways, trusting the light. The line of melody shaped itself around care. Is he good? Someone murmured. John tipped his head, curiosity pushing aside his smirk. He understands restraint. Evelyn leaned forward. Or grief. Robert hovered near the wings, half ready to cut the moment short, half stuck to the floor. 30 seconds. He muttered to a tech named John. Another John, younger, nervous. If Sophia complains, we stop him. But Sophia didn't complain. She stood 2 aisles back, the silver coat open, watching. Her face softened, just a fraction, as the melody unfurled without showing off. On stage, Michael closed his eyes and played a question. Minor, major, minor again. The keys felt familiar under calloused fingers. He could still sense weight, balance, the invisible hinge where a phrase turns to confession. He wasn't performing. He was remembering out loud. Emma sat cross-legged by a curtain rope, chin on her hands. That's the Star Song, she whispered to herself. She had named it when she was 5. Rumors of light scattered across dark. The melody deepened. Left hand found a pulse, soft, steady, like a heart that has learned to keep going after midnight shifts and overdue bills. Right hand traced small sparks, hope notes, stubborn and bright. Does a single father get to keep a dream? Or does he trade every beautiful thing for shelter and soup? The back doors opened. Latecomers froze, afraid to rustle. Phones rose, not rudely, but reverently, as if each lens feared it might scare the music away. Comments ticked across screens. Who is he? Janitor? I'm crying. Enough, Robert whispered, old rules tightening his jaw. We're not a busker spot. He stepped forward, but Sophia slipped into his path. Wait, she said quietly. Listen. It wasn't permission. It was recognition. Michael felt a swell rising, a place where the melody wanted to break and fly. He thought of Emma's first day of school, her brave smile, the way she looked back once to make sure he was there. He played that look. He turned it into chords you could hold in your hands. The hall sighed. Some people covered their mouths. A woman in row 7 wiped her cheek with the cuff of her sweater. Evelyn whispered, He's telling us who he is. John scribbled, Not technique, truth. The last phrase of the section hovered over the room, a bird at the edge of migration. Go? Stay? He let it tremble. Then he placed one single note in the center of the hall, pure, round, unafraid. It rang. It felt like a hand releasing another hand, Not from abandonment, but from trust. The sound evaporated into hush. "Dad," Emma whispered, barely a breath. "Can you play the part where the light comes back?" He smiled without turning. "I can." He lifted his hands for the next passage, and the theater doors swung wider. A familiar figure in a dark suit stepped in, shadow falling across the aisle. Someone who knew him before the hoodie, before the mop, before the second job. Who just walked in. And why does Michael's past suddenly feel closer than the keys beneath his fingers? The man in the doorway was Robert's boss, the venue director, but Michael didn't see him first. He saw something else, an old poster on a distant wall. An old version of a young man, hair too long, eyes too bright, sitting at a broken piano in a community center. Benefit night. Local talent. He had played for 5 people and a stray cat. He remembered that cat. He remembered another doorway, years ago, where a music school administrator said, "Scholarship contingent on full-time commitment," and a nurse down another hall said, "She's pregnant, healthy, but scared." Life split like a broken measure. He chose a heartbeat over a headline. Would you have done the same? On stage, his left hand shifted to a low, warm drone, like the hum of a faithful engine. His right hand climbed, cautious but hopeful. He painted the years in sound. The smell of bleach, the weight of coins in a laundry's plastic cup, the late-night lullabies in small apartments with thin walls. He let the melody grow hands and hold his daughter through fevers and field trips. Robert's boss frowned. Who authorized? Sophia raised a palm. "We did," she said, and the audience, sensing the quiet drama, backed her with their silence. John's pen paused midair. Evelyn clasped her purse tighter, as if catching a fragile thing between fingertips. Michael felt something shift inside the cord, like a locked door's latch sliding open. He glanced toward the wing. Emma lifted her drawing, a 5-pointed star with his name in shaky letters. He swallowed. "Ladies and gentlemen," Robert's boss whispered to a nearby usher, "this is unprofessional." "Listen," the usher whispered back. "Just listen." The middle section arrived like rain after heat. He allowed dissonance, but not as anger, as honesty. He pressed into the places that had once hurt and found they could sing. Isn't that strange? How sorrow, when given a voice, becomes less heavy and more holy. He reached a cadence that could have ended the piece. People leaned forward, eager and afraid of losing it. He held the last chord with the pedal, softening its edges, letting it blur like tears on glass. Then he did something the hall didn't expect. He took his foot off the pedal and let the sound fall to almost nothing. A child in the balcony whispered, "Don't stop." "I won't," he breathed, though only Emma heard. From the second aisle a woman stood. Evelyn, pearls glinting like small moons. "Sir?" she called gently. "What do you call this?" Michael answered with the simplest truth. "Home." He brought the theme back, slower, lower, almost spoken. Sophia's eyes shone, hands resting on the seat in front of her, knuckles white with attention. John forgot to breathe. The last notes of the movement threaded into silence. He could end. He could stand, apologize, return to the mop, and carry this night in his pocket like a warm stone for the rest of his life. He didn't move, because from the wings, Emma stepped into the light, small hands clasped, bravery trembling like a candle in a draft. "Dad," she said, voice shaking but sure. "Can I sit next to you for the star?" He shifted on the bench, making room. The audience made a human hush, wide and tender. Emma sat, knees barely peeking above the edge, eyes locked on his hands. He placed his fingers. She placed hers. What happens when a father's secret becomes a duet, and the entire hall leans in to hear a child's first constellation? "Ready," Michael whispered. Emma nodded. "Ready." He began with the soft heartbeat again. She found 2 notes, high, bell-like, the kind that make you look for windows where there are none. She pressed them carefully, as if pressing a firefly and praying it lives. Their timing wasn't perfect. It didn't matter. Something bigger than perfection was in the room. Have you ever watched kindness move like water? It takes the shape of the need. Tonight, kindness came as patience. Michael giving his daughter space to find the note, the audience giving them both time to breathe. Even Robert's boss lowered his shoulders. Even John forgot the line he'd planned to write. "Beautiful," Sophia said, not loudly, not for credit, simply because truth belongs spoken. Emma's third note missed and landed beside the star. She flinched. Michael placed a gentle chord under her mistake, turning it into a path. "It's okay," he murmured. "Mistakes can be bridges." Her next note found the light. The hall exhaled. A woman near the back began to cry softly, the kind of tears you let happen when a memory you love comes back to visit. The duet grew braver. Michael wove the left-hand river a little wider, inviting Emma to toss her pebbles of sound across. She did. Plink, plink. Tiny sparks skipping over a dark surface. "What is this feeling?" Evelyn whispered. "It's like forgiveness." John nodded, surprised at himself. "Or a door opening." Sophia drifted closer to the stage, one slow step at a time, coat sliding from her shoulders like a silver tide receding. "He doesn't want our stage," she said under her breath. "He wants his daughter to hear him." Emma reached for a small run and faltered. Her hands shook. Michael covered the gap with a phrase so gentle it felt like a hand on a fevered forehead. "Breathe," he said. "Stars don't hurry." She breathed, played. The run curved, imperfect and honest and shining. The audience smiled at one another. Not the smug smile of being in the know, but the humble smile of being let into a secret. Robert's boss touched his earpiece. Are we? Robert at last shook his head. "Let them finish." The theme returned, full circle, but now it carried two stories braided together. His long road and her first steps. The difference between loneliness and solitude is often just one small hand. He knew the place where he usually ended, 3 chords that felt like doors closing softly. Tonight he changed it. He slipped past the old ending and found a new measure, quiet but bright. Emma's measure. She answered with a final high note that lingered like a lantern in fog. Then he did nothing. He let the sound fade to the kind of silence that doesn't erase what came before, but keeps it warm. The entire hall stayed inside that silence, unwilling to be the first to break it. Somewhere, a phone buzzed and then died, embarrassed to exist. Someone stifled a sneeze. The air felt holy. When at last sound returned, it came as a rustle of breath, a small laugh, a whispered wow. No one clapped yet. They were still landing. Michael looked at Emma. "You lit the sky," he said. She leaned into his shoulder. "You held it up." From the aisle, Sophia stepped forward. "Michael," she said softly, "will you stay a moment?" Her eyes were glassy. Her voice had the kind of respect money can't buy. "There's something I need to tell you, and something I want to ask." The audience sensed the turn and leaned in again, as if the concert had grown a second stage. One where decisions mattered more than encores. What does a star pianist ask a janitor who just turned a hall into a home, and what answer will change both of their lives? Backstage, cables slept like quiet snakes. The exit sign glowed a soft red. Emma held Michael's hand, fingers sticky with courage. Sophia stood facing them, silver coat folded over her arm. A person stripped of sheen and left with truth. "I'm supposed to dazzle," she said, almost apologizing. "I can do that. But you did something I can't always find. You made us believe we were safe." Michael looked down. "Compliments sometimes hurt when life has taught you to duck." "I shouldn't have." "You should," Sophia interrupted, smiling. "You should play. Not instead of your work. Because of it. Because of everything you've seen." Evelyn appeared at the doorway, pearls forgotten. "Mr. Michael," he offered. "Michael," she said, trying the name like a new key. "I support a small scholarship. Adults who put life on hold. No photo shoots, no press, just time and a piano. Would you consider?" He shook his head gently. "I have Emma. Nights. 2 jobs." Emma tugged his sleeve. "Daddy? Could it be near our house? So you can still read to me?" Evelyn's smile deepened. "It can be anywhere you are." Robert approached, hat in hand. The man who had barked now spoke like a person who had listened. I was unkind, he said. We have a rehearsal room that sits empty after close. If you want a key, it's yours. No charge. Michael's throat tightened. Kindness arriving from every side felt like too much light at once. Have you felt that, when good things come and your first instinct is to step back, unworthy, unready? John, the critic, slid a card forward. Off the record, he said. Some stories help people more when they aren't mine to sell. But if you ever want a friend who knows concert halls, I can be that. No review. Just a person. Michael crouched to Emma's height. What do you think? She answered with the certainty only children own. Play, Daddy, and teach me. She lifted her star drawing and held it between them like a contract signed in crayons. We can make 2-star songs. Or 3. Or a whole sky. He laughed then, the clean kind of laugh you find after crying. A whole sky, he agreed. Sophia raised a gentle hand. One more thing, she said. There's a piece on my program tonight that you just wrote without knowing. Would you? She looked at Emma. Would you both join me for the encore? No pressure. Just a chorus of home. Michael looked at the mop leaning against the wall, his old companion. He thought of bills and bus schedules and the weight of careful choices. Then he thought of how the hall had listened, of how silence had finally replied. He nodded. We'll try. When they returned to the stage later, the seats were full. People who had been in the lobby had drifted in, guided by rumor and need. The first applause rose when the trio appeared. Sophia, the queen of shine. Michael, the keeper of small lights. Emma, the lantern with sneakers. They played something simple on purpose. A melody that anyone could hum walking home. No grand tricks, just courage in slow motion. When the final note faded, the hall didn't explode. It swelled. A standing warmth. A thank you that didn't need words. Michael closed the lid. Thank you, he said into the lights. On the way out, a stranger stopped him. I came for brilliance, she admitted, eyes wet. I'm leaving with hope. He held the door for her. Me too. Outside, the night air lifted hair and worries. Emma tucked her hand into his. Can we get ice cream? He grinned. 2 scoops. Star flavor. They walked into the city's hum. A little choir of 3, carrying a new note. The kind that follows you home and keeps the dark from feeling so large. When someone you've overlooked reveals a hidden light, what responsibility do you feel? Do you clap and move on? Or do you help make space for their light to keep shining? Share your story in the comments.